Yes, indeed, powerful people. This is another episode of Breaking the Machine. I'm your host, Ahmad the Poet, alongside my partner, Spank the Bank.
What up, though?
And today we'll be taking another incremental step in shifting the culture. Today we have a special guest in the studio with us today. We have poet, artist, light worker, educator, Mama Soul, legend, Mama Soul in the studio with us today. How you doing, Queen?
I'm vertical. Yeah, I'm vertical.
I appreciate you coming in the studio and really just rocking with us today. I remember the first time I can remember like really meeting you was when you had came to our school and did like a poetry slam. Mm-hmm. It was me and one of my friends at the time, Prentice. We had a poetry slam at the school, and you had came up, and I was doing poetry already, but I never knew what it really looked like. And it's levels to this. Yeah. And when you had did it, I was like, wow, I want to do that for real. Because I was just writing it on like pages. I've never performed. I'd never done nothing. So when I saw you do that, it really gave me like an example of what that performance looked like. Because it's deeper than just reading it. It's like pauses. It's like body language. Just like, it's all type of stuff. Yeah. And I think the poet, I don't remember what everything that you said in the poetry, but I believe it was your story. It was a poetry about a young girl growing up in Flint. And I think that's why it touched me so much, because you was just talking about basically like that rose from the concrete. And I was just like, man, this is so deep. And it was powerful. And I remember that day, especially because that was the first time I got into a car accident. It was right after that. Wow. And it was a crazy day, but I never forget that, because I remember you performing, and I remember I got into a car accident right after that. But that was a crazy story. And I thought your son had went to my school.
Yeah, he did.
Because I was like, I didn't know her son went to my school, but I was just, I wanted to just jump straight into it. You said something real. I was watching all the interviews you've done, and listening to the music, and you said the most heart attacks happen on Monday mornings out of any day out the week. And I was like, dang, that's powerful because of the stress of going to work. Could you touch on that a little bit? Like just the locking into that cycle, but it's like you really can never really lock into it because the body naturally has this stress when it comes to those certain cycles.
I actually have a song on my new project called Grow. And in the song I said, they're zapping the superpowers you never identified. You get jammed up by a 9 to 5 to sucking you dry. Zapping the superpowers you never identified, because if you think about it, man, we get stuck in this machine somewhat, right? And we get stuck in this machine to where we think it's about house, car, money in the bank. And it's a three-dimensional world we live in. And so when you start living within those confines of 3 dimensions, you only exist within that paradigm. And so you think that I have to stay in this structure. And that's the whole school system, it's taught to design us to be workers instead of owners of our passion. And so when you find something that you're passionate about, and that's why when I go speak to kids, man, I tell them all the time, like, when you find that one thing, that when you do that one thing, you lose track of time, that's what you're supposed to make money off of. Because we get in the 9 to 5, and you watch the clock all day when you don't like your job. When you don't like your job, you realize you constantly watching the clock. You can't wait to leave. You hate waking up in the morning to go there. And so you get that break on the weekend. And then the stress of being back in that space you loathe and hate is like enough to cause your heart to collapse. You know what I'm saying? So it's really about alignment. And that's statistics. Like, that's not something I came up with. That's a statistical fact that most heart attacks happen on Monday mornings. That's because majority of the people are robots. And they're doing something they don't love. They're doing something to obtain possessions. That don't make you rich. It makes you possessive. So are we living for possessions or for passion? Passion will lead you to everything you want to possess. And then you'll realize there's no physical possession that can make you happy because it's all fleeting.
And I love that.
That's beautiful.
I love that. Because I think that understanding can only happen when you've been on both sides of it, not having and then having as well. And when I was watching your interview on Inner Wealth, it was so powerful. Just the story that you was talking about, working at the restaurant and stuff. Like I love that type of story because that's like my family story, you know. And it was just so beautiful. But you said something powerful. You said I've talked to people who have thousands of dollars worth of jewelry on, and as soon as they speak, I can tell they broke. Mm-hmm. And I said, damn. You gotta wait till they speak to tell they broke, because all the money is you think but then as soon as they speak, they broke.
Because it ain't on you, it's in you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can dress it up real good. You can dress it up. All of us can dress it up. Any of us can dress it up. But once you open your mouth, the real you gotta come out. You know what I'm saying? Once your energy comes in a room, you can tell kind of, you know, depending on where you are, because we all perceive life from where we stand, but I can feel people's energy when they come in the room, like, man, you don't have a clue. And there's other people that come in the room and it's like, damn, what do you do? How can we link? Because your energy entered the room before you. You ain't said a word, and I want to know you. You know what I'm saying? And there's people I've met, man, that have all the fancy stuff on, and I don't have no desire to get close to you. None.
So you said you were a teacher?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm working towards.
I'm still a teacher
you
and
still
a student. You know,
Okay.
not
Well,
in their structure.
in their
but
structure.
yeah,
Okay, so-
yeah. I got a son, so I'm still a teacher.
Okay, so
And
did
a
you?
student.
So did you work for the board? Or I mean DPS
No.
or anybody?
I worked at a charter school called
Charter school.
Timbuktu Academy of Science and Technology. It's an African Center school on Gratiot and Harper on the east side of Detroit, right there where that whole mural was, near Operation Get Down. Our kids went to a halfway house for gym. You know what I'm saying? My immediate supervisor was an ex-Panther.
So how was it? Because I'm going through education and I'm kind of like.
It depends on the environment. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, I was just telling somebody recently, like, to be an effective educator, you got to damn near be willing to be a social worker. Because if you can't connect, and it depends on where you choose to teach. I don't think you can be taught how to teach. I don't think that's possible. Because it's a passion work. Kids connect with the person. And it's actually my trainer, and me and him were talking about kids and how, you know, certain students can come at you sideways, and he like, man, I'd have kicked them out. And I said, man, I taught for 7 years and never kicked a kid out. Never. And he like, well, what you do? I said, I made them spend the day with me. All day in my office. And the only thing they did outside of me was hung out with the janitors. Because I said, that's the type of job you're going to prepare yourself for if you don't get it together. You know, so I would tell their parents, I'm not going to kick them out, because most kids that come to school, and that's why I said to be a proper educator, you have to be willing to be a social worker and understand what's going on in the social world of these kids outside of school, because it's 24 hours in a day. Kids spend 8 hours sleeping. They should spend 8 hours in an educational environment and 8 hours with their parents. So me and the parent are equivalent. And almost I'm doing as much as you, if not more, because I have to educate them. And a lot of kids in the inner city, their parents aren't taking the time. I've gotten kindergartens came in our program that didn't know their ABCs, colors, nothing. It was like, when you go to school, that's when you're going to learn. You know what I'm saying? And the ABCs is a song. It has nothing to do with phonics for kids that grew up in the inner city. And so going into education, just make sure it's something you're passionate about, because you're going to find yourself wanting to adopt kids if you're really passionate.
Yeah, I've been in about 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, but those make the best educators, those that love children immensely and really want to see them grow and develop into full. You got to educate a whole child.
I don't want to do it in their system. I'm just.
Then you need to find a charter that is a charter based on something that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That still is going to get the funding that they have to teach under the Michigan core curriculum, but they can infuse their curriculum. Like, we taught according to the Nguzo Saba. So I was a lead teacher. I didn't have a classroom. I did for like 1 year, and then I was a lead teacher. So I mediated teacher-parent conflict, parent-parent conflicts, teacher-teacher conflicts, and then student-teacher conflicts and parent. and all of the in between. And I was a director of special education, so I did individual education plans, IEPs, and all that. And so, one thing I find is that, you know, as far as education, just make sure that you're willing to take on the whole child. You're just not there to teach them whatever subject you're going into. You got to understand if this child has not eaten since yesterday when they left, it's going to be almost impossible for me to teach you. So let me feed you. Let's build a relationship of trust first.
Yeah.
You know.
When I had taught at high school, I used to bring granola bars and apples in the morning and water.
Yeah.
I know how it
There's
is.
a lot of these kids being raised on honey buns and hot Cheetos. You know. And you got a lot of kids that's like, they don't really get full meals. You know, it's kids that's going home and the only thing in the refrigerator is flat 40s.
Yeah.
It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've had kids by the ear, like, ooh, I can't wait till your mama gets here, and walk them to the car, and your mama got a fifth of Hennessy in her lap.
Yes.
I seen that.
And I know what Hennessy does to people, so I don't even tell on you because I know it makes people violent. Your mother been drinking dark liquor. I really don't want to put you in this car knowing she's going to drink and drive. You know what I'm saying? So you find those dilemmas, and then you fall in love with the parent as well and their shortcomings as well. You know, like I had a kid, man. I was downtown Detroit, in Harmony Park, one time when I was teaching, and I bumped into a child's mom, and she had his football, and the system had taken him, and she had his football with her, and she was in and out of the shelter. And she said, will you get his football to my son? I said, absolutely. So I'm walking around the club with a football. You know what I'm saying? And people are like, why this woman all dressed up in the bar with a football? But my work transcended my social life.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I just bumped into my student who I love. I almost adopted this kid. And me and his mom had, you know, I fell in love with his mom and her shortcomings. You know what I'm saying? She come to the school. I always kicked it with her because she was brilliant. But it's like, that's why I say to educators, man, you got to be willing to do all that to effectively educate a child that's living in the inner city. Now, that's why I said pick and choose where you want to teach. If you don't want all that, go to a suburb where you feel detached from the social problems that exist within that community. You'll feel detached from the social problems that exist within an affluent community if you were raised in the ghetto. You know, so you're not gonna take their problems home with you because you don't get them. So if you're gonna educate in the inner city, you get it. So be ready for all of that.
Yeah, I've been in for a minute.
Yeah.
And I feel like your poetry kind of is like lessons as well. Like, it's just not like poetry just to be kind of like for the oohs and ahs. It's really just education, like really teaching you a lesson. At what age did you like find out that was one of your passions or a major passion of yours?
I can't even say if it was an age. I'd rather say a phase. You know, because we put numbers on things, man. And I mean, I think it's not about those numbers. Because I know people that are my age. Like me and a friend of mine were just talking, and I said, man, there's no such thing as a generational gap. It's a vibrational gap. Because I know adults, people that are over 21 that are considered an adult, but they ain't quite grown. Them seats in VIP ain't quite thrones. You know what I'm saying? So it's adults that leave their kids at home to go to the club to listen to low vibratory music and sounds and to drink and to bring their vibration down. And so the music I make and the things I do, we the same age, but we it's a huge gap between us because it's a vibrational gap. Me and my son listen to the same music because we got a common vibration. And though our generations are far apart, so it's not about generational, it's vibrational. So for me, there was a phase in my life when I knew, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what my ancestors aligned my gifts with in order to help contribute to the betterment of humanity. And that was my first bout with cancer. When I was working with FUBU. at the height of their career. You know what I'm saying? When FUBU made $300 million, I was working with FUBU in their marketing department. I was writing their commercials. And so I was grazed with a bullet, and that was because of the lifestyle, the other lifestyle I had adapted to in Flint that I grew up in. My father was in and out of prison my entire life. My father was arrested kingpin status the last time he was arrested, you know. And where I am now, a lot of people wouldn't know that. So the piece you reflect on at IAF is Beauty and the Beast, where I told the story between the parallels between my mother and father and how it created me. That's what you fell in love with. And that's how me and you was able to, that's what made you get me. And so, like, I knew my gift with words could transcend to where it could help people heal when I was healing myself with my words. And then I would do things with my students and everything. And, you know, I knew then, like, oh, I'm supposed to use these words beyond these walls to help people heal. And it was just that phase. It was the phase I was in. It wasn't about no age. It was my phase. It was a phase. It was a phase of evolution and elevation for me. And that's what made me realize the power of words, how I was able to teach these kids through music. Because I taught kids how to read literally through music. I'm developing a reading literacy curriculum right now based on how I taught these kids how to read in the inner city that was 4 or 5 reading levels behind. I can't go into that.
Yeah.
Somebody might try to steal my stuff.
You dabbed in a little bit on inner wealth. I was like,
but I'm
can't give too much
music.
soft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for our listeners. What is spirituality? What is it? Like, what's really? I know some people be like, I don't go to church, I'm spiritual or something like that. You know. So what's really spirituality? Because it's like right now, I know it's a big trend.
A lot of stuff is a trend, but what's your lifestyle about? You know, being in tune with spirit, it means, for me, and I don't speak for anyone except myself. Spirituality for me is the same as physicality or anything with those suffixes on the end. Really, we get into the root word, which is spirit. So how do you deal with the spiritual realm of energy? And how does that apply to you day to day? I come in here today with a heavy heart because one of my friends has transcended to the spiritual realm. His energy still exists. So we got to understand what spirituality is. I have an altar at the side of my bed. I don't need to go to no building once a week in order to dump that off and then live life however I want to, then dump that off. No, every single day I walk in the light knowing that even people that drink a lot, right? That's libations. When we pour libations and we realize that drinking is spirits. You know what I'm saying? And you think about libations, you think about sacred ceremonies that included alcohol, right? And what you use them for, do you use these libations to get drunken, or do you use things to tap into a higher you, to tap into your third eye energy? And so for me, spirituality it's an attunement with a world outside of the physical realm. So how do you attain that level of comprehension with a world that you don't see? And how do you allow yourself to become something that people see as a light? That's a spirit energy. Because spirit is going to move in you, and you don't know what that is. You can't see it. You just feel it. And so spirituality is something you have to feel. And when it hits you, like some people go to church and they're like, ooh, the spirit hit me. And ooh, this came to me and that came to me. And you started prophesying, you're speaking in tongues or whatever it is when the spirit hits you. You got to know if that's a negative spirit or a positive spirit, depending on how that spirit was evoked. You can go to an exorcism and that spirit's still spiritual. You know what I'm saying? But you're pulling out negative spirits because it's really about solid, liquid, and gas. It's not about going to no building and worshiping no structure or no statue. It's about solid, liquid, gas. You know what I'm saying? And so it's deeper than just a word. You know, it's a feeling. And when you got that feeling that something is spiritual, we can sit here right now in this triad. This is a triangle. That's spiritual.
But don't we feel like we still need a teacher? You know, teaching. I feel
We
like,
all need teachers, man. We're all students of life. That's what SOUL stands for. You know what I'm saying? We all are students of life. The whole time we're here, it never ends until that flame burns out and we go cold. Yeah, we all need teachers, absolutely. But I could be a teacher. You could be a teacher. You could be a teacher. Because if you inspire me to be a better person, or if you inspire me or you give me some information that I didn't have before that helps me build on something, you taught me something. The man at the corner store that's begging can teach you something.
yeah.
So it depends. It's all about you. You know what I'm saying? What are you seeking? So spirituality for me is an alignment with something beyond sight. It's an alignment with something that you feel. And when you get in alignment with something that you don't have to see to believe it, it makes you move different. You know what I'm saying? Like you become this beacon of energy that people feel. And life isn't a feeling experience. It's an emotional experience, but emotion ain't nothing but energy and motion.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
when you put that energy in motion, you got to realize you got control over that. You could call me a bitch, and I got a choice whether to be insulted or flattered. You could call me beautiful. I got a choice whether to be insulted or flattered. You know what I'm saying? I control that because I control my energy. But do you know how to, in a situation, step away in your mind and start talking to yourself about how you feel? The problem disappears at that point. Because now you focus on the spiritual energy, the energy of yourself. So for me, spirituality, it's a responsibility, just like friendship is. It's not a privilege.
It is a responsibility.
It's a responsibility. But it's all about creating your best self. So when you say, okay, we all here to create ourselves, because every single person is different. So if I'm here to create me, and we're all taught, go to church, go to the mosque, whatever it is, go to a place once a week, or however many times that religion requires you to attend something to become a better person. So when you take that responsibility on yourself and you start seeing the words in all these holy books, and you say, look, all these books saying that I am a God. All these books are saying, you know, you made in the image and likeness of God. Image is looking like, likeness is acting like. So now if I want to take on the responsibility of looking like hair and skin, and skin of burnished brass, hair of wool, all right, we got that. Okay, so now the acting like part. So that's a huge responsibility. So some people shy away from that and some people gravitate toward it. So I don't need to go to no place to hear a motivational speaker to make me be right. Some people need that. So that's when the responsibility comes in, like, okay, if I'm given this platform and these words, do I use these words in a light where I make people feel like my words are handed off as holy? You know what I'm saying? And I wrote that in a rhyme recently. You know, I'm offering, I hope you hear is holy. You got to look at every holy book. And our ancestors had people around them that documented their life. Years from now, 100 years from now, my rhymes, y'all's podcasts, it could be handed off to your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren and they write it up in a book. Can it be handed off as holy when you're not here? And that's how we should be living. That the life I live, if it was authored by people witnessing my work and handed off to somebody, if somebody read it, would it feel holy? So that's how I try to live. That's the rhymes I try to write. Not try, because try is a very ambiguous verb that infers doubt. I write those rhymes that I know if my great-great-grandchildren hear them and they say, this is my great-great-grandmother, they feel that is their holy book. That's what I want to leave. You know? And I think that's our responsibility, even with this podcast. Y'all got a responsibility because y'all Y'all have the eyes and ears of hundreds of thousands of people. And you title this the ancestral plane. You tap it into something that the ancestral plane is not visual, that's spiritual. We got a responsibility. We attracted each other.
I'm sorry. That was deep.
Beautiful, man.
That was deep.
It's beautiful.
I wanted to ask you, where did your stillness come from? Even in performing, but just in life, you know, I have an idea in my head, but it's just like, when I see you perform your poetry, it's just such a calm and stillness to it. I haven't developed that yet with performing my poetry, and I don't really know. Well, I'm gonna figure it out, but I'm trying to figure out, how did you develop that stillness and just owning your craft and just being really calm in your spirit?
My stillness came from pain. Pain will make you be still because you can't heal emotion, to me. I think healing is a very sacred act, and I've been forced to heal from things on a level a lot of people haven't had to heal from. Physical pain, you know. I've had major surgeries. You know, I've dealt with major health issues. And I've also, I know pain has made me be still. And in my stillness is when I get my answers. Even when you pray, you're being still. When you meditate, you're very still because you're not even speaking. When you pray, you're speaking, so it's still an energy coming from you. When you meditate, you're receiving energy to fill your cup up. And so for me, it's the pain that has made me be still. I've been hurt more than I've been helped by mortals. And so I depend on a spiritual realm to help me now instead of mortals. I don't rely on people, not physical people, to help me. I rely on energy and universal forces to attract the physical people because the gods get what I'm doing. I have a very clear vision, but it was the pain that made me be still. Like even this last bout with cancer in 2019, and I'm a holistic healer. I don't do no chemo and pills. I ain't taking none of their drugs. So that healing, you have to be still. And in that sacred act of healing and being still, you see things and you feel things and you hear things you would never hear, feel, or see in motion, period. And once you encounter those feelings, once you have seen those things and you have felt those feelings, you don't want to move fast no more. I don't ever want to be in a rush. You know, that's why I said I don't pay attention to no age. I want to pay attention to your vibration. I don't care what generation you were created in, because you can be a reincarnation and be light years older than me and be 10 years old in the physical world. You know what I'm saying? But you can be light years older than me. This might be your 5th, 6th trip in the physical realm to get something right. You know what I'm saying? So I don't pay attention to them numbers, not as far as age. I pay attention to your vibration. And if you tune in with these youth, like as far as a teacher, these kids closer to God than you, because you've had more opportunity to be corrupt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I know when more younger you are, more innocent you are.
Yeah. And so they haven't lost their innocence yet.
Yeah.
You know, and so as far as my stillness, it just comes from pain. Experiences humbled me. And I meet these braggadocious and boastful young MCs, and I'm like, phew, you ain't lived enough to life to humble you. You know, and I'm not saying that humility is like the all be all. It's just a part of comprehending how much is here to help you and work with you. But it's hard to really tune in to realize that it's a whole universe of things that's really ushering in certain blessings for you according to how you move and how you act and what you attract based on your recognition of something greater than yourself. And so you don't know that until you've been through so much pain to where it's like, man, I can't brag about where I am. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm proud of where I am, you know? Only based on the fact that I have been able to overcome things. And that's it. But I'm so humbled by my ability to still see light and love and joy in life after all the darkness and pain. And so stillness for me is like understanding there is a tidal wave out there. But if I can sit on the edge of this ocean and let my feet get wet before that tidal wave comes, when that wave comes, it don't move me like somebody that wasn't still before it came. You follow what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that stillness is like you become one with the wave. So when they come, you understand why they're here. And that wave was taught to teach you how to wade in the waters and conquer troubled waters to evolve you. All contrast shows up to evolve us. We wouldn't have the answers we have if we didn't have the problems.
My question is, what made you go the health route instead of taking, the medication and everything to get cured?
I got an extensive history with the pharmaceutical industry.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like my history with them is huge, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm a 2-time cancer survivor, right? And so I was the youngest cancer patient my doctors ever had the first time I had cancer. None of us thought I really had cancer. It was like, nah, I ain't got cancer. You know what I'm saying? So when they found out I did, the thing with me was I never felt like I was dying. Mm-hmm. The body follows the mind, right? So I never felt like, oh, this is it. Never. It was always like, oh, okay. What's next? Well, what do I need to do in this phase in order to get to the next thing? Okay, what do you guys suggest? What do you suggest? Okay, this is what God suggests, or this is what people around me suggest, or whatever, and I always was able to vet people for information, right? And so the first time I had cancer 20 years ago, I met an Indian man in a sauna at it wasn't Planet Fitness USA. Mm-hmm. And he and I talked, and he kind of read me on a spiritual level and was like, you going through something. Share with me what you're going through. And we talked, and he was like, you need to eliminate red meat, and you need to do this. And so it made me choose a healthier diet. And as I chose this healthier diet and a healthier mind frame, and it made me understand that health is heal thyself. That's what healthy is, heal thy. And so when you decide, oh, I'm going to heal myself, that's a work that it's almost like a responsibility.
It is.
That you've been given that other people haven't been given. And so that's just like somebody that passes the LSAT, whatever, oh, I'm going to give you an opportunity to study law. It's an opportunity a lot of people haven't been given. How you take that opportunity is on you, and that helps you get to the next phase. So even a good lawyer, there's some bad lawyers out here, and they all pass the same test because they didn't take that opportunity to educate and to give. It's all about giving. This life is about not hoarding. It's about giving and sharing. And so for me, this last time with cancer, I knew I wasn't going to take none of their drugs, period. I just watch what I put in my body, period. Period, just period. I mean, when it comes to music, conversations, television, everything, I just watch what I let go in. Because what goes on you goes in you. Even my lotion, I ain't using nothing with chemicals I can't understand or comprehend or read the words, right? And so with chemo, I know it's a chemical. And it's a chemical that kills parts of your body that you need in order to really heal. And anything manufactured in a lab, as opposed to You got to realize hospitals haven't been in existence for that long. So what were our ancestors doing before hospitals? And we got grandmothers that lived to be 100 and 120 who never had a friend with cancer. What were y'all doing? They had their own gardens. They raised their own chickens. It wasn't no McDonald's. My mother told me, like, I remember when the first Burger King opened in Flint. We was all excited. We couldn't wait to go, but it's not the same Burger King y'all eating now. But it wasn't the same projects they was living in either. The Regencies was a place people really wanted to live. Couldn't wait to try to get in. Now it's the last place you want to live. So I look at the housing, the food, everything that they give us. It all came in the same way. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I just can't trust a hierarchy that creates a drug in a lab that's going to make you dependent on other drugs for the rest of your life. You realize you watch them commercials now and they push them drugs to you.
Yeah.
Oh, you're dealing with metastatic breast cancer or whatever. Take this. And then they have a part of the commercial that's super sped up where they got to give you all the side effects. It's longer than the actual commercial.
So what do you say to the people through this like pandemic? Because right now I see a division, a big divide going
Absolutely.
on. You know, you got people that's that's vaxxed and some people that's not. You know, and some people I do talk to that's not vaccinated. You know, they talks about what you pretty much just said. You know, I won't put anything that's made in the lab. You know, I'm just going to do it the health way. But you got people with vaccination saying, now you want to read the labels and stuff like that, yada, yada, yada. So, like, how do we come to common ground? And
We're not going to come to a common ground.
okay.
That's far-fetched.
Yeah.
That ain't going to happen. You know what I'm saying? And that's not something I really am real vocal about.
Okay.
One thing I can say is my son is 16. He ain't never had a shot. Ever. And will never get one of their shots. You know? And that's kind of where I stand on it because I've done my research.
Right.
I don't watch the news.
I don't either.
You know? So most of the people
Fear.
that believe that whatever they say we're supposed to do in order to get through their agenda, that want to become part of their agenda, that's on y'all. And I don't knock you for it, you know, because I got friends that have jobs that they needed to keep because they were in a position of what we was talking about earlier. That whole 9 to 5, man, is sucking you dry. That got you having heart attacks on Monday mornings. You ain't found your superpower yet, you know? Because at the end of the day, bruh, we all came here on a mission. Before we became spirit, before we became physical, we were spirit energy, and we wanted to get here to create something. And then when we got here, a lot of us forgot what we came to create, and we watched and became fans of what other people came and created. And we became consumers of their creations. And we have lost touch with what we came to do. And as long as you still believe you are on this mission and you've tuned in, you don't need that in order to do your work. You're still reliant on them. And so that's when you fall subject to their drugs to heal. And so I can't tell people what's right or what's wrong for them. I don't know what puts groceries in your cabinets. But what puts groceries in my cabinets is my ability to garden and to go to my garden with my grocery list.
Oh, so you have a garden?
Yeah, a lot of them. You know? And so I don't just mean that in a physical sense. Follow what I'm saying? I got my grocery list and I go to my garden and I dig, you dig? I plant my vision in isolation. I cultivate my seeds and practice patience till my roots develop in the fruit of my labor. I'm a savior for the youth. I feed them food that grew within my soul. Me all natural, no GMO. My body rejected an implant. And then I realized implant Einplant, because I got it out the mud. You know what I'm saying? So it all correlates.
I ain't know you can eat the placenta.
Yeah. You
Cause I'm about to have a child.
Bury it.
I'm about to have a child. We gonna bury it or eat it. I don't know which one we gonna do yet. But I never knew that, and we doing a home birth. So I never knew that till the midwife told me that. It's crazy.
Now here's the thing. For me, burying my placenta was the choice for me. Burying it and doing a sacred naming ceremony for my son, a blessing way ceremony for my son to bless the way of his coming. And then when he was here, following through those sacred ceremonies to where we were burning the white candles and saying his name in his ear on both sides by certain elders and ancestors, and whispering his name and the meaning of his name in his ears certain times a day, and burning those candles and doing all that work. But burying that placenta and letting it return to the earth. Anytime, for me, and this is not, you have to practice what's good for you. Every person is an individual.
Gotcha.
And all things are not good for all people.
Gotcha.
Though they are good things. Depends on how you perceive them. I don't want to eat any organs.
Gotcha.
Because I'm not a cannibal. And so even in Catholic churches and churches, they say blood of Christ and the body of Christ. I don't want nobody's blood and body in my body. And I don't care how spiritual it is for you. I ain't saying it's wrong for you. It's not right for me.
No, that make a lot of sense. I'm listening. That make a lot of sense.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to eat no organs. I eat plants because they're alive. So I'm not saying don't eat it. I don't know what your midwife has taught you. I buried mine. And we've done sacred ceremony around that placenta. But you have to do what's right for you from your perspective and where you stand. You know. But yeah, where that baby was homed for years, in that sack, it's still a sacred space.
Can it grow like to a plant?
Planted.
Yeah, I'm outside. Can you? Okay.
I can't tell you what to do.
No,
But
I ain't.
when
no, I
you
was
plant it,
asking,
see
yeah.
what happens in the space in which it's planted if you go back to that space and create sacred space there.
Okay.
And if you even decide to plant other seeds around it, you will plant other seeds around it. So don't be surprised if you have another child on the way. You know what I'm saying? When you plant other seeds around it,
Okay.
based on that child's energy. And then you tune into the leadership energy of that child and that soil and those roots that took place in that space. And then how those roots create something that bears fruit, that feeds others. It's all interconnected, man. You know what I'm saying? So congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, congratulations, because it's a great blessing. Like, being a parent is probably like the thing that saved my life in the first place. Because when my doctors told me, like, that was one of the things. If you take these drugs, one of the things that is possible is that you won't be able to bear children because the way that it will alter your hormones. So I was like, I'm good on the
Ooh.
drugs.
That's deep.
Yeah.
That's
know what I'm
real
saying?
deep for women. That's
Yep.
real deep.
Yep. That breast cancer is deep.
Mm.
So if you don't really ask enough questions, you'll just do what they say because you're so eager to save your life. So
That's
you don't
deep.
know what questions to ask, and you
Because
don't
y'all
know.
hormones get triggered
Oh
very
my
fast.
God! Oh my
I
God!
can
Most
see that.
women that take tamoxifen and do chemo and all that stuff, they end up in early menopause and all type of stuff. Yep. So if you change in a way that your body naturally cleanses itself and releases eggs and things that, you know what I'm saying, that create life, and you're willing to alter all of that based on a chemical that somebody's told you, I will give you to prevent something down the line, but it's going to tear all these other things up in you. You got to weigh those things, and you can't just take everybody's word for stuff. You know what I'm saying? But you got to that goes all the way back to school. You're taught to take this person's word for everything, to where they'll kick a kid out if they go against the teacher's word. Yeah. They kicked my son out and told me come get him because he said Christopher Columbus did not discover America. It's the same thing with that whole industry. We are taught to be sheep.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
We just taught to be sheep. And when you start thinking for yourself, you realize I almost got to rethink everything I've been taught.
Yeah. And that's hard.
If you say it's hard.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying? Yes. Only if you think it is. Really, it's a blessing to be that awake. Where it's like, oh, cool, everything they taught me was really some bullshit. Okay, cool, I can get back to business and start from square one. And now I'm a better person and I'm more wise at this age to start from square one, so I'm willing to start over.
I like that. You're right. I like that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, really, it's a blessing to be awake in a time where so many people are asleep. It's a blessing to be a light when so many people are in the dark. You know, we all been in the dark before, but were we being planted or buried? You know? So that's why I say bury it.
I mean, I feel like a lot of us, we can feel the energy speeding up in the world. Like we can feel something coming.
Man.
You know, I don't know. I posted a video of this doctor. I can't remember his name on the ancestral plan. He was an ancestor. And he was talking about the vibration speeding up and how days seem shorter and all these different things. Do you feel like is it possible to get us back into that village mentality, or is it something that has to happen for us to come together in that way? Because we talk about the school, we talk about teaching these young children. I had just got done working at the school and teaching these children, and I'm just like, man, what can we do? I mean, in my opinion, the young ladies' stories is more traumatic than I don't want to compare trauma, but it's just like. It's crazy because they taking care of their household on top of it because they got trauma and they got to take care of somebody in the midst of trauma. You know, the young man, he going through stuff and it's so much. But do you think, is it possible to get back to that village? I'm trying to figure out how does that even work?
It works one person at a time.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Nah, I don't think we'll ever be on one accord. You know, it's just the reality of it.
Yes.
You know, it's hard to think everybody's going to buy black.
You can't say hard.
You know.
You can't say hard.
True. You know. Yep, you're right. You're right. But we have to deal with the reality of things.
Yeah.
Everything happens one person at a time.
Yes.
Because every single person on this planet is different. And we all process information based on the way that we've been taught to process information. Some of us are taught everything we're read is truth. Some of us read to decipher truth from what we already stand on. You know what I'm saying? Like some people, I've had conversations with people on books. 48 Laws of Power, for instance. Now, I don't agree with every law, but they do because they ain't never been taught how to decipher words. So you damn sure don't know how to decipher energy.
And how you be taught to decipher words?
Think about it. If somebody tells you, you read The Cat in the Hat, right? You read Green Eggs and Ham. And these words are really just taught to teach us phonics.
Right.
And rhythm and rhyme and everything. But if you're taught from an early age that these things are true, we tell kids things that are completely false. And we know it's a lie, right? And so we're telling you what we tell you, you have to believe it and it's truth. We don't teach kids how to use critical thinking skills early on. We don't tell kids, don't believe everything I say, research.
No.
Because they don't know how to do that. You know what I'm saying? So we pretty much tell kids, that's like even with the diet. We don't tell kids, you got a choice what you want to eat. You going to eat what I cook.
Yeah.
And then we say, oh, diabetes running our family. No, them recipes running your family. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing with information. You look at every person that follows a certain religion. It's what was being taught in your house.
Yeah.
And then somewhere down the line, you might go to college and your roommate be a Muslim. And you be like, I went to the mosque with my roommate and it felt better than going to church. I was more in tune. And then you become that. But you still gonna get some flack when you go home and present this to your family. So now you like, oh, I don't even know. Maybe I shouldn't do this. It's the same thing with knowledge. So when you get these books and everything, it's like, how do you learn to decipher words and information on your own when you've been taught to believe? And believe, if you look at the definition, it means to assume or take as true. That don't mean it's the truth. It's not knowledge if you're assuming. So how do you just believe something instead of know? So I can tell you to believe in something. Belief is going to control your desires.
But to know.
To know is knowledge, the first 4 letters of knowledge. To know on the highest ledge.
Wow. Wow.
You know, so it's like we've been taught to believe so much. Just believe me.
Believe.
Don't research, just believe. They told that in religion. And you got to realize that's the basis we take as a God body. So when we're told, oh, just believe me, don't question, believe. But then you go to school and they say, oh, the dumbest question is one not asked. But when it comes to my spirituality, you telling me don't ask no questions.
I hated that. I hated that.
Jesus Christ.
You know what I'm saying?
I hated that.
So then you look at, this is more important than that. I need to make sure I'm good with God before I am with Miss So-and-so in the classroom. Because this is going to transcend into the classroom. But you telling me just believe over here, but over there, if I don't raise my hand and ask a question, I'm stupid. But when it comes to my spirit and my God energy, if I ask a question, I'm condemned.
Yup.
And then you look at the Hebrew word school, shul, which means hell.
Hold on. What mean hell? Say it again.
Break down the word school in Hebrew. Go look it up. And then you wonder why it's worded the way it is, the board of education. We bored with their education.
You about to make
It's all in the words. It's all in the words. Words and spelling is casting spells. We are under a spell.
Yes.
We are. And that's why music is so powerful. Because it casts spells. I was watching that Kanye and Drake concert today, man, on Amazon while I was doing this Kids Locks. And me and him was looking at the audience, and I was like, man, look how powerful music is.
Yeah.
You can't get a pastor with an audience Kanye got. And they talking spirituality. Music is more powerful. That's why they using the music to control us. You know what I'm saying? Like me and Courtney Bell got a song on my new project called Tighten Up.
I can't wait to hear that.
And in that song, like, you know, I'm doing more of like just a talk, but it's still rhyme. And I ask, who truly decides this content y'all been writing? Because if you indecisive, your soul gonna sell for low pricing. Because what's enticing to adults is gonna surely swallow these kids. You know what I'm saying? So to see you swallow pills and be promoting it deals us a deck loaded with jokers posing for selfies inside they self-destructing, but they post it just hoping that we don't notice.
I know we pushing the time. And this conversation is just so powerful. It's just like,
Yeah, come on.
Jesus
Keep it
Christ.
going, man.
But look it up, though. Look that up, man. Look
It ain't
that.
coming up. I'm
Yeah,
trying-
they don't want it to come up. You know, but at the same time, all these Bible-toting folks, if you ain't never picked up a Hebrew Bible, which existed before your English Bible, I can't hold a conversation with you about your Bible. Because we got to go to words that's in the Hebrew Bible that ain't in the English Bible. And why did it change? Why? Why did Elohim change?
I know sin mean target in Hebrew.
What is a jinn?
I don't know.
What is religion? What is realigning a jinn?
the jinn is it's a spirit, right?
What are you realigning yourself with?
Your spirit.
What spirit?
The Holy Spirit.
That's why every person should question every religion they get in, but they tell you don't question it.
They
Jesus
do though.
Christ.
And I mean, they do. They literally
We
sit up
gotta
there.
we gotta do a part
Because
two.
you
I'll give
realigning
this
yourself with a gin.
shit. We gotta do a part two.
But then if we drink gin,
Ooh,
and it's called
okay.
spirits, you know what I'm saying? Like it all
sorry.
correlates. It all correlates. It all correlates.
This is up to
It's
you.
all deep. It's all mathematics. It's all spiritual. It's all chemical. But you got to realize chemistry is a black science. Chem is Egypt. Kemet,
Yes.
black science. Istri is the suffix that means science, right? And so you have a black science, chem, istri, a black science. We were the first chemists. So if we dealing with chemistry and molecules in alcohol that can ignite a flame, you know you got a flame burning in you if you can drink something and you get hotter. And then when your flame goes out, your body goes cold. How we keep that flame energy ignited. And that's what I talk about with youth is like, yo, you are a flame amongst yourself. You got this flame. And if I take my candle and light yours, that my flame don't go out. But a flame doesn't have a shadow. And that's what that whole song me and Courtney Bell have about, is about. You know what I'm saying? Like, to lead you to the light. And if I light, if I don't have a shadow and I got this flame burning within myself, you can't become me. But I can be the light that ignites your flame and we all shine. Don't try to be me. Be you. The lightest you, the brightest you could possibly become. That's our job, is to set each other on fire. So we all shine. Don't compare yourself to me. Let me be a light. You be a light. You be a light. And we we light each other on fire. My flame don't go out for lighting your wick. That's our job. That's our job, man. Is to be a light amongst each other in dark times.
I love it.
And that's what we need, man. That's
Yeah.
a dark time.
We got to do a part two to this
Yeah,
conversation
yeah,
because
yeah.
this is powerful. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it, man. Thank you for coming on the show. I really
For having me here.
Yeah, this was real good.
y'all tune in for another episode. Man, this is powerful.
Man.
Mama Soul, Break the Machine. I say.
I say.
I say, yo.